All right, well, it's another day, and unfortunately, it's more of the same. Good Thursday, I guess, Delaware Valley. The Phillies get swept by the Mets. They get their teeth kicked in for 3 straight nights. I'm Connor Thomas, sitting in for Andrew Salciunas. To my left, Mike Gill, sitting in for John Kincade today. Mike, I would say good morning, but it doesn't really feel like one here in the city of Philadelphia when it comes to this baseball team.
Can't put a good spin on this, man. Can't put a good spin on it. But, last week, I would imagine, all right, most people are half asleep like me. I'm not used to waking up at this time. But it's good to see you and talk to everybody out there at this time. But I will say, at this point last week, wasn't everybody buzzing? Wasn't everybody saying hello at Wawa?
Yeah. Wasn't
everybody coming in saying, "See the Phils last night?" I mean, baseball is one of these things where one Thursday you feel great, and the next Thursday you feel like...
Yeah, but every Thursday is not a major series with the Mets coming to close, with you getting swept, you giving up the season series, which is what happened last night with that final loss in that series, which means not only are the Mets only 4 games back of you as we wake up this morning, but they also hold the tiebreaker. So essentially,
you know what else?
Call it 3 games back.
You know what else? The Dodgers passed you now, too.
Yeah.
So you are now sitting in the wild card spot, and if the playoffs were to start today, which I know they don't, you'd be playing the Mets.
Now,
good morning.
That is not exactly where I think people want to be mentally right now.
You feel good about that?
No, I don't feel good about anything with this baseball team right now. And for people who have heard me talk about the Phillies all year, it takes a lot to get me to this place where I'm kind of just resigned to the fate that I believe that I saw in the past 3 games. Now, could things change? Absolutely. Have they played other teams not named the New York Mets well? Sure, they have this year. But they can't beat this team. And something about the DNA of this team feels like it came into major question over these 3 games. Where is the fight? Where is the fire? Where is the point where you look at a team in your division that does not have as good of a record as you? In my opinion, not as good of a roster as you. And has not had as much playoff success over the past 3 years as you have. Sure, they knocked you out last year. What they do when they were a 100-win team, they lost in the wild card round, right? Like they are as much, if not more, playoff quote-unquote chokers than people call the Phillies, right? So what is it about this team where you can't just chest up, get out there, and beat them? In their building, that's what I need to see, because I know the Phils took 2 of 3 down here at Citizens Bank Park. So maybe it's the Citi Field Demons.
And they'll play 4 coming up, and we'll really get to see what happens in that situation. However, there's so much wrapped into this game, especially last night, Connor, where the kid pitching for them, McLean, is just absolutely mowing you down. And I can't help but think, you're watching a game last night where I got to sit through another Taijuan Walker start. I get it. The guy's worked hard. He's had a turnaround season. It's a good story for that part of it. Whatever. This kid's coming up here in the middle of a pennant race. They said, look, we're struggling. What was struggling for the Mets 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? They couldn't get anybody out.
Right.
They go to their guy, and they say, we need an influx of life. Meanwhile, we're rolling Taijuan Walker out there at Citi Field, House of Horrors, asking him, save us.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they got this kid infusion of life into that Met team, and that Met team starting pitching was down and out. This kid's now 3-0, an ERA under 1. And last night, he looked like he was absolutely Cy Young material against that lineup. Where's the Phillies' infusion of life? Where's the Phillies going, hey, we got to this point, but we need a little kick. We need a little something to get us to that next level. That's what bothers me about the game last night. Okay, you get swept. It's a house of horrors, all that stuff. But it's how the whole storyline is playing out here. That the Mets were the team that was down and out, and now they got a little kick of life, and that kick of life kicked you in the... Yeah.
I think the kick of life was more provided by the Philadelphia Phillies themselves than Nolan McLean coming up. He was very good last night in that matchup. But here's the thing. Like, he had made 2 starts prior to this, and that team was still consistently losing ball games. Their starting pitching had been a little bit better. But the only time where you've seen that team look like a true playoff team in the last month was against you.
Well, listen, they've won, I think, 8 out of 11 now. And this was a team that was the worst team in baseball for a stretch of games. Them and the Nationals were the 2 worst teams. And this is, I hate to be like, this is baseball. And, like, Listen, I'm a pretty laid-back, calm guy when it comes to this. I get people, look, I'm looking at my social media. I'm not usually up at 4 o'clock in the morning like I was today, and I look at my social media mentions, and people are like, Rob Thompson this, how do you get a kick when you got the comatose, manager and all that stuff. Is it a coincidental situation, or is it the Mets? That, to me, is like the big question here, because was Rob Thompson comatose and a problem when they just spanked the Mariners and everybody was loving it, or is it conveniently now? Like, that's where, to me, I have to try to figure out the balance of a 162. Did the Mets just kind of coincide when they have – look, I said before, you can't expect the Mets to play like the worst team in baseball the next 2 months. At some point, with the talent they have, it was going to start flipping for them. They were really bad. Are they going into they're really good?
Yeah, but it didn't just flip. It flipped against you. And I know they've been playing better baseball, but there's no way to watch this series and think he didn't just breathe life into the Mets. And yet, like you say, this could be baseball, right? Like, at least from the perspective
it's always the convenient answer.
Yes, but from the perspective of the players, that could be how we're looking at this. So I want you to hear something from Kyle Schwarber, who spoke last night after the series came to the end. After the Phillies were swept by the New York Mets in embarrassing fashion, after pretty much everybody in this fan base at some point in that series thought, I'm done. I think we all had those thoughts. Even the most devoted, confident Phillies fan thought, screw this team, I'm out. Here's what Kyle Schwarber had to say.
First off, I think that there's disappointment, right? Who likes to lose? No one likes to lose. But there's nothing that can really phase us. I think that, we've been swept before this year. We bounced back. So we got to do the same thing. And I'm not worried about it. I know everyone's going to have the right mindsets going into the next series, and we go from there.
Now, I don't know if that's true. Nothing really phases us? I don't know, man. And I love Kyle Schwarber as much as the next guy. And he speaks for that locker room. And I like the idea of trying to keep everything settled, because in that room, they don't get to react like we do as fans. And sometimes they have to avoid what the reality of the situation is, even if it's staring them in the face. But the whole idea that they don't get phased, when I see the Phillies go into Citi Field, they look like a totally different baseball team.
I agree with that. I feel like, and on Tuesday night, there was an at-bat from JT Realmuto, now who has been scorching hot, right? Mm-hmm. And he strikes out for the third time in a row in a big situation. And you're thinking, and the look in his face as he's looking up is, okay, I can't figure it out. Yeah. I don't know why I was so hot and now I'm not. So is it, is it like this is where this is hard. Is it just Citi Field and they're like, much like the Braves when they come here. The Braves have the better record. The Braves have been the better team. The Braves win the division. And then they come here. Do they have it in their minds that, like, I know we're not playing we don't play very well in this particular building. Do the Phillies have that same mindset when they go to Citi Field? They've lost 24 of 30 games. That is a unbelievable number.
And throw 9 straight on top of that, or is it 10? Yeah,
it's
my
10.
fault. I can't even
Topper
keep
said
up.
Something last night or the night before the game. Mm-hmm. And he said, when he was he's like, I went all the way back to like 1996 when I was with the Yankees. And he's like, we had played, I forget what team, maybe Anaheim or something, and we lost we were like 3-13 there. Yeah. Then we played in the playoffs and we swept them. There has been like these weird instances where during the regular season, I don't think, though, anybody listening right now, if you played a series at Citi Field. Now, if you play the wild card, all 3 games would be here. Yeah. Would that make you feel any different or any better? Or is it the Mets? Or is it just the Mets at Citi?
Today, nothing would make me feel any better. If you're playing this Mets team, you're going home. Like, that's how I feel. And
so even if the games are here, you're saying that Met team is in their head. It's not the Met team at Citi Field.
Yeah, you're done because that team owns you. They just do. I don't know why. I don't know how, but they do. And they're a quality baseball team, but not as quality as the Phillies make them look. But I want to ask you a question out there, and you can chime in on the phone line and the text line, 610-632-0975, based on that Kyle Schwarber conversation. How phased are you? Because Kyle Schwarber says the Phillies are not phased. How long will this sweep by the Mets stick with you? Will it be a week? Will it be a month? Is it the rest of the season? When will it be that you look at this and say, okay, I've seen more from the Phillies to the point where I give up, or more from the Phillies to the point where that was a blip on the radar? I want to know, because I have a feeling a lot of folks out there are going to say that for the rest of the season they will be thinking about this series. Will it affect you for the rest of the year? 610-632-0975. You can call in. You can text in. Coming up next, I need to know what fair criticism is for this series with the Mets, because I've had some bad words, FCC compliant words, but bad words when it comes to how you should talk about your baseball team going through my mind. And I want to know what's fair and unfair, what's just and unjust. So we will discuss that next as we continue. Kincade and Salciunas. I'm Connor Thomas, in for Andrew Salciunas. Mike Gill to my left, in for John Kincade. And Haley Taylor-Simon on the board. We're back for more after this.
Hey guys, Andrew Salciunas, host of Kincade and Salciunas. Just want to thank you for checking out all of our great videos that we have on our YouTube channel every single day. Make sure, if you can, please like and subscribe and check out all the videos that we have on our YouTube channel, whether it's for us, Kincade and Salciunas, of course, our midday show, as well as Unfiltered with Bill and Ricky.